And good morning. It is Sunday morning. I hope everybody goes out and has a blessed Sunday with your family, your friends. Go to church first. First thing, go to church, get some blessings. It's Palm Sunday, so go out there and get some blessings. And then have a nice dinner or lunch with your friends and family, maybe a cup of coffee. Do some nice talking and catching up and enjoying each other's company. I tell you, Sundays are great for that. First, you have a blessing from God at church, and then you go out and have a blessing from being with friends and family. It's the greatest experience ever on a Sunday. Go out and enjoy your Sunday. I want to talk about two things today. One, I read an article this morning from USA Today, and they were saying that Americans want to have a president who is more religious. And they felt that Biden and Donald Trump are not religious enough. Now that shocked me because I watch all these videos and people going up and asking people, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? And everyone's saying no. I'm beginning to wonder if people do believe in God and they feel that a religious experience from a president, or by a president, I should say, is more of a blessing to America than they are actually letting on. But I'm going to bring something up here. You know, we've had a lot of people in leadership roles in the past. And you go way back to Bible times with King David. I mean, he was kind of a sneaky scoundrel, but yet he was blessed by God because he knew that David could lead. He could lead his people into battle. He could lead his people into other areas that was better for their nation. And we've had lots of different leaders who have had this religious experience, this one-on-one relationship with God, and carried it through to their business or to their situation in Congress or wherever it may be. They have been able to do that only because God knows what the possibilities of certain individuals are. So sometimes we can say, oh, we don't see him worshiping God, but you know what? When you see people of faith surrounding an individual who's running for president with their hands on him and praying for blessings to come his way and for the wisdom that he needs, that tells you a lot about the character of that individual. Maybe God sees something better in that person than what the rest of us see. And it's hard sometimes when you see the words that come out of these people's mouths or their actions or whatever it may be that just is not quite all that good, but yet they're able to lead and they're able to get things done, and God blesses them in other ways. Sometimes God sees much more in you and me than what we see. And that's what's really amazing about this relationship that we have with God and what God provides us with and who he provides us with. I'm going to tell you a story. I was never a supporter of Donald Trump politically. I liked his TV shows. I liked what he did. I liked the buildings he built. In fact, my company also represented Trump buildings in Asia that were being built, and we sold a lot of buildings over there. I mean, a lot of condo units over there. So I liked what he had done, but I never liked him by what he said or how he acted. I did not like that. But when it came time to voting for president, I voted for him, and I'll tell you the reason why. In business, we have this situation where sometimes you got to bring in the hatchet man to clean up stuff. I have been through this so many times before in corporations where they were failing. They were not doing what they needed to do. They were not, they were not growing at all, and they were dirty. They were dirty inside. The books were dirty. The financials were dirty. Everything about them was dirty. So sometimes a hatchet man had to be brought in, and sometimes he had to go in. He wasn't liked. No one liked him. No one trusted him. But he went in and he turned the companies around. Because he had that talent. He had that ability. And then everybody lived very well after that because the company was then making money. Bonuses were being handed out. I remember one time, a long time ago, I lived up in Mountain View, California, and there was a company there that was bought out by NCR Corporation. And I remember the day that the president, and he had a lot of guts to do this, the president came in, went in, brought everybody into the lunchroom. I didn't have to go in because I was a consultant to the company at that time, but I didn't have to go in. But what I saw was that half of the people that went in for that meeting, there were probably about 400 there, half of them left without a job. Because he came in, he had to slim down the company, and he had to get it running quickly. So I know what hatchet people do. And I saw Donald Trump as a hatchet man. And so that's why I voted for him, because I knew that he probably could do the job by cleaning up government as much as he possibly could. But it was going to be tough because people were going to come after him. They were going to try to destroy him. Because in government, no one likes change. They hate change. So sometimes, yes, Americans like to see an individual with a religious experience to lead the country. But sometimes it's not the person that you think it's going to be. Sometimes it's the person with the dirtiest reputation. That God comes out and says, okay, now we're going to change your life a little bit and we're going to make you a leader of nations. It's an amazing situation that this experience of religion and God and belief and faith and hope and charity and all this other stuff gets rolled into an individual that you never thought would be able to pull that off. But God saw it, and He blessed these people that do it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I saw another article this morning as I was looking at content. And the article was about pawn shops and how they are seeing the economy right now. And that individuals don't have enough cash on hand. So they're taking their gold watches, because gold went up in price, gold chains and everything else, and cashing them in, and sometimes not even returning to get the merchandise back. They're just leaving it there. So right now, pawn shops has a huge amount of inventory because so many people have gone in to get these loans, but they're not coming back. So their inventory is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But that kind of tells you what the economy is, and that politicians are not telling you the truth about where we stand as a nation, and that our poverty rate is very high at the moment, because individuals don't even have $1,000 in their bank account. 50% of Americans do not have $1,000 in their bank account. And that was by the Pawn Shop Association that monitors everything that's going on in these pawn shops. So we're seeing inventory amount of gold chains and bracelets and everything else, just so that people can buy food, so they can buy gas to get to work. They're cash poor. So when you hear politicians saying the economy is good, no, it's not good at the moment. When you hear people saying that Americans are doing much better than 4 years ago, no, they're not. Now, the pawn shop began about 4 years ago when we were still in the pandemic, the last phase of the pandemic, and people were beginning to run out of money because the stimulus checks had stopped. But they decided, you know what, I've got a gold ring here, I've got a diamond ring, I can go in and get $1,000 or $300 or whatever it took to get them by for that week. So you have to realize that when you look at the economic indicators, and listen, the government only looks at basically 3. But when you look at the whole entire nation and all the other indicators of pawn shops, of defaults on loans, on more automobiles being repoed, that is another indicator that individuals in America just are not doing very well economically. It's a tough situation to look at, but don't just don't listen to what government agencies and government politicians are telling you about the economy, because they will tell you anything to get their vote, to get your vote. Look at the other indicators out there, and there are so many of them out there, so many of them, that we have to look at it very carefully. So that's my podcast for today. Now, let's get back to the coffee, okay? Today I had a nice vanilla coffee just before I did this just before I did this podcast. And I tell you, it was good. But I also was talking to friends at the same time as I was drinking my coffee, and I felt good. Today is Palm Sunday. It's the beginning of Easter. This is the time that you say, okay, I have been blessed. I might not have much, but I have been blessed because I'm still alive. I still have a house and a roof over my head. I still am able to eat. And I'm still able to go to my church and pray and give thanks. Remember what Palm Sunday is about, and also remember what Easter is about. This is when God gave His life for our sins. He gave His life. So it's if you haven't read that story, I encourage you to read it throughout this week and really understand the true meaning of Easter. It's not about bunny rabbits. It's not about chocolate Easter eggs, even though I love them. I love them. But Easter has nothing to do with that. Easter has to do with the redemption of man and the forgiveness of sins. And maybe, just maybe, you and I should be thinking about forgiveness. This is Mike Lodge. It's Sunday. Let's go out and have a great Sunday. Let's have a great cup of coffee together. God bless all of you. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.